So Wes Anderson just released his new short film collection on Netflix, and it has received a lot of acclaim. I, being a major Wes Anderson fan, could not wait to check this out, and since I've watched all 4 of them, I definitely have thoughts. I'm going to do a ranking of all 4 of these, and of course if you have your own rankings, please comment them below. Also remember, please don't get mad at my rankings because I'm just some random dude on the internet. Opinions are opinions, it doesn't really matter. And moving on. Number 4 for me is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Henry Sugar follows the story of a rich man, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who learns about a guru who can see without his eyes. After he learns about this, he sets out to master the skill so he can cheat at gambling. Now this seems to be a lot of people's number ones, and I do respect this short film a lot. For one, there is a gimmick for all these where Wes Anderson is playing with what a film is, and they're all kind of a half play, half film project. And this one in particular had some really cool experimentation with that. Details like the spotlight lighting, the same actors playing different characters, and even small stage effects like when Benedict Cumberbatch's character Henry Sugar was levitating, but it was on a box that was the same color as the background. I thought all that was really cool. It reminded me of things I would see in a small theater play, and I thought it was really effective at portraying that. Now, I said all the short films have great visuals, which is to be expected, but I found the visuals in this one to be the most memorable for sure. The set design here was on point. I absolutely loved it. I loved the way the sets moved and transformed into other sets. It was incredible how they did it. And even playing with things like rare projection were really fun. However, this short film is not one I loved personally. In fact, I was a little disappointed with it. The dialogue was delivered too fast for my liking, and the characters switching between narrating in the third person and then going back into character wasn't really working for me. It removed my attachment to what was going on, and I could never really fully get into the story because of it. With the fast dialogue and the constant changing of perspectives, it just got grating after a while for me. And most of the time, I wasn't feeling what the characters were saying. Instead, I was trying to listen to make sure I caught everything. So yeah, this is one that I respect more than I like. With everything I said, I still don't dislike it, but it's more of a cool experiment than something I actually like. Number 3 for me would be The Rat Catcher. Now, I did enjoy this one. I thought it was pretty good. This one is about a reporter and a merchant who come across a rat catcher who plans on, I guess, trapping or killing a bunch of rats. The main reason why I enjoyed this one is because of Ralph Fiennes, who is amazing as the rat catcher. For the time the rat catcher is on screen, he is a captivating and unsettling character, and I really enjoyed everything with him. You could also tell Ralph Fiennes was just having an amazing time in this role. He was giving it his all, and I appreciated that. And of course, all these short films look amazing, but this one in particular had some really good use of lighting. I really liked the overdramatic spotlight lighting when there were more intense scenes going on. And there was a scene towards the end where I thought the lighting was impactful and in a unique way to this play film style. While we're talking about visuals, I just want to also say that the stop motion rat was a nice touch. And please, Wes Anderson, make a new stop motion project. Please, please, please. Although I did enjoy this one, it's not higher on the list because I found the other 2 to be more memorable and more impactful short films. The Rat Catcher was cool while it was on, but it's not something that stuck with me as much as the other 2. Number 2 for me would be The Swan. The Swan is a story about a man named Peter Watson who is reflecting on the traumas of his childhood, exploring a situation in which he was bullied. Now, I mentioned the narration style of Henry Sugar kind of getting on my nerves, but for whatever reason, it worked for me a bit more in The Swan. Maybe it's because The Swan was shorter and it's easier to digest this style in 17 minutes as opposed to almost 40, but I found it easier generally to get into the story of The Swan. The narration style was easier to get into with this one, as it was an older man reflecting on the trauma of his childhood. And as I mentioned, this short film does deal with bullying, and it got darker than I was expecting it to. By the end of this, I can say it was an impactful short on the subject. This showed how the trauma of bullying can stay with you, but also how to find hope in these dark situations. It was moving, and it was also fairly intense. I feel like I had the strongest emotional reaction to this one, which I was definitely happy about and needed after Henry Sugar and the Rat Catcher didn't give me much to latch on to. And yet again, not calling those shorts bad, but I think The Swan's a step above it personally. And number 1 for me would be Poison. Now, Poison is the story of a man played by Benedict Cumberbatch who has a poisonous snake laying on his stomach. Ben Kingsley comes in playing a doctor here who tries to save Cumberbatch's character to learn that maybe he is not a man worth saving. I really liked this one a lot. Of course, Poison looks beautiful. I appreciate the different aspect ratio in this one. We get a wider image here, but out of all four of them, this one's my favorite simply because it was the one I was the most invested in. This short was 17 minutes, but it absolutely flew by. I absolutely love the way the tension builds in this one. Poison was fairly intense, and when we got to the ending, I could say I was kind of riveted by it. I do have a lot of respect for this one, mainly because it's nice to see Anderson experimenting and doing something more tense with his style. And this makes me want to see perhaps a tense, maybe Hitchcockian Anderson film in the future. I feel like that could be really fun. So yeah, those are my thoughts on all four of these short films. And overall, I would say that I am happy with this as a whole. And while I might not love all these as much as everyone else seems to, I have a lot of respect for them. And I also appreciate Anderson making short films because I feel like short films aren't recognized as a powerful medium in the mainstream. I rarely see directors releasing big short films. And I feel like we need to see more directors releasing short films. I want to see more short films on Netflix, on these streaming services. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Please comment below and subscribe, I guess, if you want more content. Yeah.